So as most of you guys probably know this by now, there has been a lot of talk as of late about Jack Silvagni potentially leaving the Carlton Football Club in the 2025 AFL trade period. Again, we have heard that Collingwood are extremely interested in him. Again, Craig McFray, I nearly said it. Nearly called him freaking Craig McFlurry. Oh my god, what the fuck? Craig McRae went on as far to say that Jack Silvagni and himself actually did meet up as well. Again, from all reports, Carlton have actually increased their offer to a 4-year deal, very similar to the Collingwood offer to try and match them. Again, Collingwood's money is reportedly a little bit more ahead, and I mean, Silvagni's obviously much more interested in the Collingwood deal because not only is it a little bit more ahead, but I mean, you get to play for a freaking flag contender instead of playing for Carlton, who are probably going to be starting a rebuild and look in a very, very odd situation going forward. So again, not only has the Collingwood thing happened, but I can say as well that from all reports, the Western Bulldogs and Essendon are actually extremely interested in potentially going out and getting Silvagni. Again, that is all being reported by Mitch Cleary. There's also another report here that is saying that Brad Scott has officially met up with Jack Silvagni. Now, Essendon and Brad Scott, I mean, like, I can see Silvagni maybe going to Collingwood and why he would, I think, turn his back on Carlton to, of course, make that happen. But I say this right now, I think if Silvagni was to go to Essendon, holy crap, shit would have to hit the fan, right? If I was a Carlton fan, I would not be happy knowing that, we're a team that might be going into like a rebuild or whatever it might be, but we're in a very similar ladder position to Essendon, watching a favourite son in Jack Silvagni leave the team to, of course, go to one of the biggest rivals Carlton have would be insane. Again, I think if you're sitting there as a Carlton fan, you can probably rest easy knowing that if he goes to Collingwood, you know why. But if he goes to Essendon, holy shit, that would just... I'm not even a Carlton fan, and I don't even know if that would sit right with me knowing that he would go to Essendon. But again, if you're a Bombers fan, and I mean, there's a massive chance that they could get him now, especially if the coach has met with him. I mean, holy crap, you would have to be sitting there very, very happy if you're a Bombers fan. And I think all Bombers fans are probably pretty happy knowing that the club is, for the first time in many years, it finally has a direction. Again, I've spoken about this on the channel, but I feel like Essendon have been the most notorious AFL club of just being stuck in no man's land. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL, who are just in the middle every single goddamn year. That is pretty much what Essendon are. Again, they're never bad enough to be bottom 4 usually, but they're never good enough to make the 8. They kind of just, sit in that 9 to 13th, 14th kind of realm of just being mediocre. But again, as we know, from what has been said, Brad Scott, I think, went to Essendon. He said, look, this is the direction we need to take. We clearly need to prioritize the youth and prioritize playing a lot of the younger guys rather than playing blokes like Dylan Shield, who are just clearly not making an impact on the team. Again, I think Brad Scott went up to them and said, look, if you're happy with this option, let's do it. I can re-sign with the club. Or if you still think for some reason we need to be contending, well, I can keep playing these older guys and nothing's going to happen. And I think Essendon finally realised, look, we got to take Brad Scott's advice here. If he wants to play the younger guys, we're going to have to let him play the younger guys because we're not going anywhere. And again, them having 18,000 different injuries, I think also furthermore helped this decision. But in saying that, Essendon are going to have probably their most important off-season in quite a while, because I genuinely believe there is about 10 blokes, maybe even a little bit more, who will not be on this team next year. Again, the players who have been tried and just haven't really succeeded, or the players who are just older who, are taking games off younger players. Again, the two blokes I'm looking at there are, of course, Dylan Shield, who is only really playing right now because of injuries. Again, I think Essendon will look to try and trade him in the offseason. Again, there is a report saying that he will be, getting some interest from other teams as well. Again, Jade Gresham too, he's only playing right now because of injuries as well. He was dropped, and I can't see him playing much next year. In terms of the younger players who have been tried, that I don't know if they'll be on the team next year. Again, Jai Menzies, he's been tried. He's had enough opportunities. I don't think he'll be on the team next year. Elijah Sardis as well. Again, pick 5 from a couple years back has really been tried and cannot get a game still, even with all the injuries. Wouldn't be surprised if he, either, gets moved, or I don't even know what's the next step. And then, Ben Hobbs, he's played pretty consistent this year and he's actually been okay. But again, reports are still saying that Essendon truly aren't that big of a fan of him, and they haven't liked what they've seen in his development so far. Some other teams are circling him, amongst a bunch of other players, right? There's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of movement. And I think that would have been the pitch to Jack Silvagni. They'll be saying to him, look, we have a direction now. We know that, for this year, we just weren't going anywhere. So we played a lot of the younger players and we've seen who's good. Isaac Keiko's played a lot more midfield. Players like Angus Clark, who probably wouldn't have gotten a game if they didn't drop players like Jai Menzies, came in and have looked pretty solid. Again, we're going to try and reset. We're going to the draft. We've got, I think it's like pick 4 and 7 at the time making this video. We're going to take 2 pretty good players there, and we're going to kickstart this rebuild. Not only with now a lot of young players that we've tried, but we're bringing in a couple players, and we would love for you to come and play with this rebuilding team that we think now, because we've reset, we could possibly make the A in a year or two. And I think Silvagni might be persuaded by that. I mean, he's probably sitting there right now knowing that Carlton aren't going anywhere. I mean, they're losing De Koning. That's a fact. They're losing him most likely. That's a fact. I don't know what they're doing with Vossi. Apparently staying next year. Wrong decision in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of different changes at Carlton next year. They have a massive depth problem. No good picks. Nothing is really working, and I don't know if their future is going to look that great. And their players like Patrick Cripps and whatnot are only getting older. Again, Silvagni knows it's time for a change, and I believe he will, most likely leave. Again, I think Essendon will have a good pitch, and I think Brad Scott will have made a good pitch. He'll be saying to him, look, again, we're bringing in the 2 top 10 players next year. We've got all these young players now ready to go next year. All of our injuries to players like Mackay and whatnot will be coming back next year. You'll be playing with Mackay, down there, down back. That could be a pretty good option. Again, they'll be persuading him, as of that. But Collingwood, I think Collingwood is hard to go past, because even though they've been kind of crap the last couple weeks, I mean, they're just pretty consistently good over the last couple years, and I can't see them really taking a step down again. I think a lot of their problems that they're having over the last couple weeks can be solved. And, a couple of those things are age, in my opinion. They look like they're slowing down a bit. Again, I'm pretty sure Pendles is re-signing or has already re-signed. Sidebottom will be doing the same thing. Howe probably as well. But outside of that, they need another key defender to go with Darcy Moore. That will be, of course, him. Again, they're looking at Ben King in the future as well, who could be finally their key forward answer. There's a lot of different stuff going at Collingwood right now that is leading me to believe that Collingwood probably aren't going anywhere. So I don't think that is going to be, of course, them getting bad. I think they and McRae are probably going with a really good pitch into Silvagni as well. But Essendon being interested is interesting. The Dogs being interested is also quite interesting, because they, I think, need another key defender too. And this new role that he's found down back has actually worked so well that I think teams are just loving him at the moment. And I think he'd be a really good addition to play for the Western Bulldogs, and that one could be something we possibly see as well. But again, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all those AFL content, AFL news, all of the above. Again, Don't forget to, subscribe to my gaming/movie channel. They'll be getting linked down below. My Instagram as well, which will also be getting linked down below. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys next time. Goodbye.